short video, you will learn why the U.S. has a major trade disadvantage due to its tax policy. You will see what's wrong with the corporate income tax and hear from President Clinton about a better tax, a smarter tax. We can and should restructure for successful global competition with a simple replacement for the corporate income tax. Not with an add-on tax, a replacement tax that works simply, effectively, and easily in over 150 countries around the world. But first, let's look at the problem. The last 3 decades have seen an acceleration of trade agreements, and today we live in a competitive era of globalization. Chances are your clothes, appliances, cars, personal electronics are made in some other country. Fewer and fewer products say, made in USA. We used to produce these products, but companies seeking higher profit margins replaced U.S. workers with cheaper foreign labor. Outsourcing has been a gift of employment for our trading partners lately, especially in China. This workforce shift has been encouraged by a tax policy that favors outsourcing labor and avoiding taxes. Our current corporate income tax code is, well, code, a mess of mysterious exceptions created and expanded by a Congress that is influenced by lobbyists seeking loopholes. In the process of avoiding taxation, corporations hire accountants, tax attorneys, and lobbyists to find and create loopholes that will minimize their tax costs. These specialists are wildly successful, more holes than Swiss cheese. There are tax exceptions for agriculture, oil drilling, offshore profits, cruise ship lines, literally hundreds of exceptions. Because of these loopholes, the corporate tax rate of 35% is really much less on average. Avoiding taxes is fair business, but our corporate tax code enables avoidance that ultimately undermines our trust in government. For example, about 50% of public companies are incorporated in Delaware, a tax dodger's haven. Multinational corporations go even further by parking profits in countries with lower tax rates. This legal non-compliance makes for good after-tax profits and top executive bonuses. Some multinationals even push the limits by incorporating overseas profit centers that are no more than a mailbox on a Caribbean island. Corporations are so successful at avoiding taxes that compliance expenses, including accountants, lawyers, and lobbyists, now cost these corporations $740 for every $1,000 the government collects. Corporate income tax collections peaked at 32.1% of federal tax revenues in 1952. That share has steadily fallen to only 7.9% in 2011, a drop-off over 24%. In today's economy, that 24% fall-off would amount to $674 billion per year. The point is, our current 35% statutory corporate rate only appears too high. After deductions and loopholes, it is really far less. 78 of the most profitable companies paid 0 income taxes in 1 or more of the last 3 years. The purpose of our tax system should be to efficiently collect revenue in a way that is equitable, while minimally inhibiting economic growth and domestic employment. Could we replace the corporate income tax with a smart tax that's fair, supports growth and jobs, is competitive for trade, and ends the avoidance game? Such a tax is already accepted and proven in the rest of the world. The value-added tax, or VAT, taxes consumption rather than income. VAT is a percentage of value added by each business along the manufacturing and distribution chain, not just once at the retail sale. It's grade school math. VAT adds up to the very same amount as a retail sales tax and can be printed on the sales receipt. What makes the VAT different and most beneficial for trade is its border adjustability. The VAT, which varies from country to country, is subtracted from exports and added to imports, assuring foreign businesses of neutrality, no distortion, and no discrimination.
What's your view of a value-added tax?
The one thing that blue-collar America should like about it is it's good for exports. And it, in effect, doesn't allow quite so much subsidy of imports. When other countries subsidize their production for export, at least they get slapped with the value-added tax when it comes in here. So if you're not ready to give up on manufacturing, and I'm not, I think this is a great time for us to rebuild the manufacturing sector in America. If we had the right sort of value-added tax and we made enough adjustments in the other tax bills to make it, to keep the progressivity of our tax system, it could be really good. It would be good for exports, and it would, our home market products would be on more even footing with imports if we had one. And we compete in countries that have them all the time.
Take the example of a $50,000 car shipped from Germany to China. Within Germany, the $50,000 car includes a 19% VAT, the government tax burden on the car. On export from Germany, the 19% German VAT tax, around $8,000, is subtracted from the price of the car. So the cost without the government tax burden is $42,000. When the car reaches China, the 17% VAT in China, around $7,000, is added to the price, making the cost of the car $49,000 there. But when a $50,000 U.S. car ships overseas, there is no tax deduction, but a VAT tax is piled on by the importing country, which can increase the price by as much as $10,000. This results in a major competitive disadvantage for U.S. exports. Likewise, in the U.S., there is no VAT added to imports, so imports get a real price advantage. Without our own VAT, there is a significant price disadvantage against U.S. products at home and abroad. Our largest trading partners add a VAT to goods they import from us. The VAT ranges from 5% in Canada and Japan to over 16% in China, Mexico, Spain, Italy, and the UK. These other countries have a corporate income tax and a VAT. But why do that? Let's think differently about tax policy. The corporate income tax is a broken system, so why keep it? There is a better way. What if we replace the corporate tax code by a VAT? What if there were no loopholes, no deductions, no exceptions? Replacing the corporate income tax revenue dollar for dollar by a 4.5% VAT would promote economic growth and jobs here. Let's be clear, it's not an add-on tax, it's a replacement tax. Profits would not be taxed at the corporate level. Right now, profits are taxed twice, once at the corporate level, and then again when individuals pay taxes on dividends. The U.S., with zero corporate income tax, would then be the best country for companies to show profits. Likewise, foreign corporations would then shift profits to the U.S. for investment, and some manufacturing too. Companies would no longer need expensive lobbyists to push for loopholes. The savings could go to stockholders, wage earners, and consumers in the form of lower prices. Tax is a scary word to politicians. Politicians fear proposing a VAT, even if the VAT only replaced the corporate tax dollar for dollar. They fear losing your vote. And they might lose corporate contributions. American corporations have become hooked on cheap overseas labor. Current tax policy has encouraged outsourcing and tax avoidance at the expense of American workers and homegrown businesses that pay their fair share of taxes. A VAT can make the U.S. more competitive in global trade and help grow the economy and jobs. A VAT is a smart tax to replace the corporate income tax. By making the U.S. more competitive in trade, this change would fuel economic growth, producing more goods made in USA, creating more jobs. You can help support this positive change and make it possible for Congress to do the right thing. Let your senators and representatives in Congress know you want a VAT to replace the corporate income tax. You can also send this video to your contact list and join us on Twitter. Thanks for listening. For VATinfo.org, I'm Steve Abramson.